that I advocate all year. With breast cancer awareness being known as one of the main focuses in October, it's true that I love and adore this month. It's something that brings my family and my friends together. But I have to be honest with you all tonight and let you all know that hearing those words, breast cancer, wasn't always something that I liked. And in fact, it was something that, brought tears to my eyes. It made me sad. It reminded me of the fight that the love of my life had to endure. In June of 2001, my mother found a lump in her chest. Once she found it, she realized that she wanted to go to the doctor and, get some tests and see whether it was cancerous or not. So we went to our family doctor in McLennanville just so, they could run the tests and determine whether the lump was cancerous or not. And during that time, I was 10 years old, and I remember going to the doctor with my mother. And I distinctively remember the car ride home. Being 10 years old, hearing something about a lump in your mother's chest and her having to get tests, it scared me. And on our way home, I cried. I cried the entire time because I was afraid that I was going to be losing her. I didn't know what was going to happen to my best friend. And just being that the person that she was, she encouraged me. She let me know that everything was going to be okay. 2 weeks later, my mother got a call confirming that the lump in her chest was cancerous and that she had to go see a specialist. And at that moment, again, I just wasn't sure what was going to happen to her. But she let me know that she was going to be okay. The first couple of weeks of treatment was kind of rough for her, with the different medications and different side effects. It really took a toll on her body. The cancer was very aggressive and it grew rapidly. I remember her having to have an oxygen tank with her all the time and also having one at home. Some days when she took the chemotherapy, it drained a lot of energy out of her. But I also remember some days, and also my cousin Robin, who was her caretaker, she wanted to make sure that her nails were done. So even after her chemotherapy, she went and got her nails done. And again, that was just something that reminded me of her strength and her courage to keep fighting. She wasn't going to give up. She wasn't going to let cancer beat her. She was going to do everything that she could do. And then December 25th, 2001, that was the last Christmas that I spent with my mother. I remember that morning was very good for us. I remember her helping me open my Christmas gifts. She was in great spirits, laughing and talking with the family just as she normally does. And I remember that night was a little rough for her. My cousin Robin had to check on her constantly throughout the night. And as a child, I remember crying some nights because here I am watching my mother go through all this pain and there's really nothing that I can do. In my eyes, there's nothing I can do. I can give her all the hugs and the kisses in the world, but that still just didn't take the cancer away. I wanted to do more. I just wanted to help keep the smile on her face. I remember some days, even while we were talking, it was just hard for her to breathe and she would start coughing. I'm just like, what more can I do to help my mother feel better? December 25th, 2001 was the last Christmas I spent with her, and I just remember that night being rough for her. And on December 26, 2001, that's when my mother passed away. I remember that morning my grandmother woke up and, she was crying and she was hollering. I didn't know what was going on, but when I woke up, I started crying too, but my mother started bleeding from her nose that morning, and my family called the ambulance. And that day, that's when I realized I really don't like ambulances. I know they're here to help save lives, but in my eyes, I saw the ambulance coming and taking my best friend away from me. At that moment, I felt like she wasn't going to come back home. I remember my Auntie Laris riding in the ambulance with her, and I distinctly remember me and my cousin Leisha, we were sitting in the room, just waiting to hear anything, and I was crying. I was crying because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was crying because I was frustrated and I was sad. I was just crying because I was scared for my best friend. I remember sitting in the room with my cousin Lisha, and someone came and, you know, they said, she's gone. She's gone. At that moment, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Why her? Why me? Why right now? I cried and I cried and I cried. And where I grew up at, we have a big yard. We have a big field. And I literally just wanted to go lay in the field and cry. Because without her, I felt like I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have any hope. I didn't have a reason to live on without her. It's supposed to be me and her, best friends to lay in. I was her only child. You know, I was the love of her life. We just had that special bond. And at that moment, I tried to figure out, what am I going to do without her? How can I go on? But during that time, my mother passed away. The community came together, our family and friends and our church family, they came and cooked for us that entire week. And that's when I realized I had hope. That's when I realized I had a purpose that I had to keep fighting for my mother. And right now, I just want to read a story that I wrote when I was 10 years old, just to kind of give you a perspective of what I was going through as a child. And it's titled, Living Life Without My Mommy. At first, when mommy died, it was very sad and scary because my mommy was my only friend. And she was always there for me, and she made me happy. She made me happy, and she was funny. And she was never even sad. She was never sad when the doctor told her that she had a lump in her chest. When I found that out, I started crying because I was scared to know that I would be losing my mommy. She told me not to cry and that everything was going to be okay. Then a few days later, the doctor called my house and told my mommy that she had to go to the hospital. I wanted to go with her because I was going to be the first night my mommy ever stayed away from home. I really miss my mommy a lot because she means the world to me, and I would do anything I could for my mommy. My mommy loved to listen to gospel music and dance. She would always make me laugh. My mommy was the best mom you could ever have. When my mommy got really sick, she had to have an oxygen tank with her and one at home. My mommy started to lose a lot of her hair, but days before she died, her hair was coming back very soft and pretty. The morning after Christmas, the Lord told my mommy to come on home. While my cousin was washing my mommy off, she started bleeding from her nose. My grandmother hollered out my mother's name, and that's when I woke up and started to cry. They called the ambulance. When the ambulance got there, Montelaris, who were with my mommy. Once in Macedonia, the ambulance had to stop on the side of the road and work on my mommy. When they got to the hospital, that's when they said she was dead. I cried until I got sick. That whole week, our family and friends came and cooked for us. Everybody was nice to me. Every holiday, I get to go see my mommy at the graveyard. And as every day goes by, I try to make it through without my mommy. As far as I'm concerned, she will always be with me, and she will always be my very best friend. I love you, Mommy. And I just want to give you all a perspective of what I was going through at that very moment. And again, when I wrote the story, I really didn't realize what I was doing, but that's actually when I was becoming an advocate. I remember when I went to middle school, I would share the story with my teachers. And I feel like that was a coping mechanism for me. Because like I wanted to let people know, like, hey, I'm going through a tough time right now, but I don't know exactly how to reach out to anyone, you know, just let them know that the pain that I'm feeling, I just need a little help. So me writing that story and sharing it with people was my way of giving myself hope, fighting for my mommy, and just letting people know that everything is going to be okay. In middle school, that's when I started participating in the Relay for Life events and also running the Susan G. Komen races. And once I graduated from high school, that's when I went out to college. And I also want to say that my family is my support system. Without my family, I'm not sure where I would be right now or if I would be able to stand up before you and speak today. So when I went out to college, I went to Winthrop University. It's not that far away, but it's far enough. And I found myself again figuring out how am I going to deal with the death of my mother. Because it's honestly something that you will go through daily. People will say, time heal all wounds, but I just figured you just find different ways to cope with it, and that's fine. So while I was at school, I was like, I have days when I get sad, and those days when I got sad, I will go to my family. But here I am at college, I'm like, what am I going to do? How am I going to cope? How am I going to, grieve the death of my mother? So then I realized I had to get involved on campus. I found an opportunity with the Relay for Life, and that's how I kept hope alive. That's how I kept my mother alive, and that's how I kept fighting for her. I held various chairs with the Relay for Life organization at Winthrop University. I was the fundraising chair, I was team development chair, survivorship, and also the event chair. And that way I was able to interact with people in different ways and, just encourage them and let them know that Relay for Life is bigger than us. It's bigger than Winthrop University. It's something that we can do to help people battling cancer and their families around the world. And I remember one event that I planned was the Pink Out Day. And it was mainly a day that everyone on campus would wear pink. And we had a great turnout. We had more people than I expected. And again, that just let me know that this is my purpose. This is my purpose and my passion. And this is God's calling on my life. And I just feel like if I can impact one person, then I'm doing the right thing. And right now, I would just like to honor our survivors and let you all know that you are my heroes. Survivors and people who are currently battling cancer. You all give me hope, you motivate me, and you encourage me that I am doing something right. I am making a difference. And I just want to thank you for your strength and just being who you are on a daily basis. And thank you for fueling my passion. And again, I'd just like to let you all know that breast cancer awareness is my purpose and my passion in life. And if there's anybody that's going through what I've lived through and what I'm currently going through, let me know so I can help you. You don't have to face it alone. I'm here so we can face it together. Thank you.